Hello, everyone. Israel Luna here. Thank you for watching this newest episode of Don't Panic. This is a special episode. We are airing it today on Monday because I was out of town this weekend and I normally have my shows on Fridays. But I thought that this was a very important topic, and because of the very unfortunate incidents that happened in Vegas this last week, I really wanted to have a show talking about guns, gun control, what we need to do. Are there solutions to make things better? So before we get started, I'm going to have my guests introduce themselves.
My name is Jake O'Neill, and I am for gun ownership.
My name is Kel Davis, and I am for gun ownership.
Okay.
I'm Richard here. I am pro-Second Amendment. I believe in having the choice, whether you want it or not. If you don't want to own one, don't own it. If you do, you have the choice.
Got it. And I am sort of in the middle as well. I feel that we should be able to own guns, but there should be a limit. But we'll talk about that.
Okay.
So after, unfortunately, this is now the Vegas shooting. Now I think it's become the largest, pretty much massacre in our country to date. And I think it's, what was the death toll?
I think it's settled at 59.
59, which is really, really sad. And the more they research what happened and then his motivations, the first thing that I thought of was they are humanizing him, because I know the Washington Post had an article saying the killer was a lover of country music and was a very quiet man. And that already there started bothering me, because when you see, for example, the shooter at the Pulse nightclub, he was an American, but he was another nationality. It was all negative stuff, and it was all, he was exactly, he was a terrorist. So I just want to get your take on the moment you heard about Vegas, what your initial reaction was.
Well, I woke up in the morning, or that next morning, basically, to it being on the news, and I was still kind of confused about what was going on. And there was a lot of stories and a lot of interviews about people just being in shock and not really understanding what happened, or where the shots were coming from. I know that a lot of people at first thought it was fireworks and it was a part of the show, and I guess the shooter was actually shooting from the hotel, and he was shooting at mass amounts of people. And by the time that everybody kind of figured out what was going on, it was too late for a lot of people.
And what was your initial reaction? Like, here we go again, or this is, what was your initial?
It has been happening a lot lately, and it has been in the media a lot. My initial reaction was, wow, this is happening on a much larger scale, it seems. It seems like this one was, of course, they're all terroristic attacks, but this one seems like it was a little more detrimental, or it had a little more, I don't know if it was necessarily the media or if it actually has been the largest death toll recently. But my initial response, or my initial reaction was just that was horrible. I was in shock myself. I didn't really know how to respond to it.
Right, Kel?
With me, to be honest, I didn't hear about it for a couple of days. I've seen people post things on Facebook about it, and I was like, okay, what happened? And so one day I was just looking up on YouTube, and I was like, well, let me see what went on in Vegas and everything like that. And then they would start talking about the shooter and what he did and what was going on. I don't think it really shocked me, because it seemed like when people want to get angry, they take it out on other people. So, I guess it's like one of those things that you look at and you're like, well, what do? You don't know when a person's going to snap and do something crazy like that. It's hard to really say what was going on in his life to make him snap. But, at the end of the day, you just got to look at it and say, what type of mental state he was in at the point of when he made that type of attack. Because there has to be something that triggered him to get to that point, because he was still around. He could have did it earlier. from what I seen about it, he was there a week earlier for another concert. Why did he choose that concert?
Right.
Because his intentions was do the concert where it was a lot of rap music and stuff like that, but he went into the country concert was there. So it makes you wonder, like, what was his purpose and why did he do it? And that's one of the things, if we could ask him, it was like, why would you do it on this day versus the last time? So
got it. And that's going to be an interesting point to bring up as well, knowing that he was there before that, days before. What was your initial take, Richard?
Damn it, not again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's that simple. You know, with someone who wants, you know, to support the Second Amendment, to support the right to own firearms, for people to go out and do this, it's hard to even try to defend something like this. You can't defend it. And so, yeah, my initial reaction was, damn it, not again.
Right. And, you know, I'm right there with you. You know, I'm kind of a mix because I was horrified yet again, but I also thought, you know, I should be more shocked. I should be more, what? But I'm not. And what I associated it with was like when you see a new molestation charge toward the Catholic Church. It's happened so much that you're just numb to it and you're like, oh, another kid got molested, and it's not that big of a deal anymore in your head. And that's the moment that you have to pay attention and
you're being desensitized.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's even especially since it is nonstop 24/7 coverage. Everyone, every time, all the time is covering it.
Well, I think I think that's what really took me to a point where I was like, oh, okay, it happened, but it's going to continue to happen if we keep doing the things that we're doing. So I'm desensitized to it in a sense.
Well, so let's talk about that, because we have, you know, all four of us are pretty much like we're pro owning a gun. So when you see something like this happen, what do you think to yourself needs to change to keep this from happening? I'm sure we all have ideas. Maybe not. I don't know. I know I do. Richard?
Well, again, with having to find out all of the information, in this case, everything that I've seen, everything I've read so far, and all the reports on it, you couldn't have stopped this. There's no law. If this guy wanted to do this, because not only did he want to do it, he had the financial means. So even if it was outlawed, even if you couldn't own one, I guarantee this gentleman would have had enough money
to get
and enough determination to get what he wanted, to do what he wanted.
Yeah.
So I don't think in this particular instance that any law would have prevented him from doing what he did.
Yeah.
I mean, even, I know we're going to eventually get to it, but even the one thing that they're hyper-focusing on is the weapon attachment called the bump fire stock.
Right.
Okay.
Which makes your weapon shoot a lot more in a quicker amount of time, right?
Right. It will change what is a semi-automatic weapon. Pull the trigger one time, it shoots one round. You have to let the trigger go to reset it and fire another one. The bump fire, I don't understand its exact mechanics, but allows you now to simply hold the trigger and through mechanical design, and it will just continue to fire the weapon.
You know, and I have to say, I think that whole issue, because it just started a day or two ago, that is a distraction, because I think, who cares? That's not the problem. That is not the problem. We need to discuss the root of everything else.
Yeah, because it's something to hyper focus on, and the quick fix problem. Now we can stamp. You know, we're going to fix it with this one thing.
And I feel the politicians are loving it because they're like, ooh, now we can ban this so everyone will shut up, and that has nothing to do with anything. This is what I've discovered after each shooting is the shooting happens, and then a lot of people say, we need to do something about these guns, and then you have the other half saying, but nothing's going to work, and then everyone shuts up until the next shooting. That's what happens. And that, to me, is the conversation that needs to happen, because the worst thing you can do is have a conversation on Facebook, especially if it's a really important one and if it's going to be like super serious. Because when people start writing long novels, you know, that they're not listening. They are doing a rant for 2 to 3 minutes, and then another person, and a dialogue, a conversation is you say something, then somebody says something, and then you just go back and forth. Joseph Spector, drain the swamp. That never happened. And what needs to change to keep this shit from continuing to happen? Drain the swamp. Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. But what I've discovered is there's a lot of people who don't have ideas, but they are the first ones to come out and say, but that won't work. And it's like, but do you have an idea? Well, then shut up. You know.
Well,
now, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's really like, how can you stop something like that if you for having guns? Because at the point, the only thing I can say is like have psych tests for it, but I don't know if that'll even, stop anything, because you still have cops who go through psych tests and they end up still having mental issues and stuff like that, just like anybody else.
Or again, they'll go through the psych evaluation and they'll pass just fine.
Yeah.
But they spend 5-10 years on the street and get so jaded from having to deal with all of this all the time.
Exactly.
That they snap or whatever, or it's just that one moment they've had enough and they do something they know damn well they shouldn't be doing.
Exactly. I think they know better.
Now, I although I feel that we have the right to own guns, I want nothing to do with guns myself. So I'm coming from the perspective of someone who knows nothing about purchasing a gun. So unfortunately, we have to take a quick break.
Okay.
And when we come back, I want to discuss how you purchase a gun, and because that's, I think, where it starts. If it's super easy, then there's already a problem there.
Yeah.
If
It's not. It's more complicated than you think it is.
Okay, so we're going to cut to break, and then we're going to talk about that. And then I have a list here where I'm going to save the world because I've already solved the whole gun issue.
Oh, well, I don't even know why we're here.
So
Exactly. Because I'm sure all of you are going to super agree the whole entire
course
time.
not. Of course not.
But I mean, this is a very serious list, so we'll see how it goes. You just never know.
It's called dialogue for a reason.
Exactly.
We exchange We exchange
Absolutely.
ideas and try to find something that works.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this special episode of Don't Panic, where we are discussing guns in America. And if you are just now joining us, I'm going to have my guests reintroduce themselves.
Jake O'Neill, and I am for gun ownership.
Kel Davis, and I'm for gun ownership.
I'm Richard here, and I'm for the Second Amendment and the right to choose whether you want one or not.
Nice. And I'm Israel Luna, and I do feel like we should have the right to own a gun, but I personally want nothing to do with guns. Now,
and I'm sorry, that's the beauty of being an American. You have all the freedom you want, and you can pick and choose what you want. You don't have to go one way or the other. You don't have to do this. You can do what you want.
well, it's just like when it was the whole marriage equality thing, and they're like, I don't believe in gay marriage. Well, then don't get gay married.
Do you? How is it bothering you?
Yeah, how's
How
it
do-
bothering
how
your
does it-
relationship and your marriage?
If they go and get married, how does that affect you at all?
Exactly. That was our biggest fight. So the first thing that I wanted to mention, and we kind of mentioned it in the first segment, was a lot of the media is not calling this domestic terrorism, and I think it is.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
You can't have the nightclub shooting and call that domestic terrorism, and not this.
Right.
I mean, well, they labeled Timothy McVeigh. He didn't use a gun. He used fertilizer to blow up half a federal building. That's terrorism.
Right.
It is.
And
Yeah.
and I
Call it what it is.
I personally feel that it's all based on his skin color because he's white. He's not a terrorist. Period.
Yeah.
I mean that's. What do you think? As the
Yeah.
African American
token.
person on the show, do you agree with that? Do you think that's what it is?
Yes, I believe it is. But it happens all the time, so it's to the point where it doesn't really bother me that they do it because we all know the truth. They don't have to actually say it for you to know what it is, you know. But I mean,
But they do have an influence on a lot of America, especially Middle
mean,
America. And
they do, but that's people's own right to think how they want to think. I can't make you think how you want to think. I mean, at the end of the day, you can believe what you want to believe, but it doesn't make it truth. You know, so at the end of the day, you just got to just look at it and say, okay, they're going to continue to do that. That's what they're going to do. They have an agenda.
Yeah.
So if you have an agenda to do something, you're going to continue to do that.
so that's a great segue into our next subject. Let's just talk about agenda. So let's just say we're going to purchase a gun. I go to a gun shop. Okay, you know what? I'll do it this way. This is what I think happens
Okay.
because I've never purchased a gun. This is what I would hope happens. I want to buy a gun. I'm going to go to a gun shop, and I'm going to go in, and I'm going to say, hi, I would like to purchase a gun. Let's just say a regular pistol, I guess. They ask
So
me
what
for-
type of citizen, though?
Uh,
Because some people don't go to gun places and gun stores and get them because they don't want their name attached to it.
okay.
Right.
Well,
But I was going to let him go ahead and
yeah,
finish this
and
part of it.
And I have that on here as well. So
Okay.
I go in there. They ask for my driver's license right off.
Yes.
And so they get that.
Yeah.
And they scan it just, because I'm looking to purchase a gun. So just almost like you're going to drive a car. They're going
Yeah.
to keep your ID. In this case, I would say, yeah, they probably keep it or make a copy of it. Then you go and you look at them, and then I say, okay, I want this one, and they say, all right, well, we're gonna hold it for you. You have to put some money down. We have to do a background check on you. So then they do a background check, and they say, okay, it's gonna take a couple of days, so come in a week. Okay, I go back, and then they say, okay, you're clear. Now, before you purchase this gun, you have to go to a training. It's going to be about a week long. It's almost like studying for a driver's test.
Yeah.
So you do a written test, and then you do a training session. There's a training course where they teach you all the gun safety things, and then you have to pass that. And if you don't pass that, you have to retake it again, just like a driver's test. And then after all of that, there's like a 2 or 3 day waiting period after you've passed that, and then they say, yes, here's your permit, now go get your gun. Is that how it works?
Up until the point of the permit or class. You walk
The
in.
training?
Yeah, there's I'm going to speak in the state of Texas.
Okay.
There's no training course. There's no requirement for it. The only thing that you have to do is you present a valid form of ID. They take that, you fill out your 4473 form 40, and then they take that, and the background check is them actually calling the FBI for this particular purpose. They give them all of your information, and if the FBI says you don't have any type of criminal or you're not on their list or whatever, then they complete the form, you sign the form, you walk out the door with your firearm.
You're kidding.
No.
And do you think that's okay?
What more do you want?
What do you want them to do?
Training. This is the first thing that happens when somebody gets a gun who's never handled a gun. Here it is. They're just like, oh, this is kind of cool. Wow, look at this. And you're like, hey. And the first thing that you do is you tell them, no, keep it down, because they don't know. So that's already like terribly, terribly wrong, because people, it's like they're going to do this, and they're like, oh my God, this is crazy. And you're like, no. I mean, right? Am I?
No, I can understand where you're coming from with that. But the point of the argument on this particular subject in that community is that you're arguing the difference between a right and a privilege.
Yeah.
Okay. To own a car or to drive a car on public streets is a privilege that can be revoked. To own a firearm, to keep and bear arms, is one that is
Is
not
a right. It's a right to have
something that
one.
cannot be revoked.
Yeah.
Therefore, it is much more difficult based on that criteria to regulate how you can purchase one.
But
Right now, you have to pass a federal background check.
Well, don't you think that that's a part of the problem is anyone can just go in and grab one, but they don't know how to handle it. They don't know all the things, do they know how to do this without shooting themselves? Do they know, hey, you're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to play around and how do you know when it's empty? How do you know when it's full? How do you, can you go up to somebody going, oh, it's empty. I'm just going to pull the trigger right here in front of Jake, because look how fun this is.
I mean, most people who own a gun know that it's deadly, so they're
No,
not going to do that.
I'm-
But they're not going to do that. That's more of someone who, like maybe a kid just want to play with it. But I don't see adults just really going to purchase one and just pointing at the friends and shooting like that.
Unfortunately, you see it on Facebook all the time.
There's a filmmaker that I
Yeah.
know, and he's probably watching the show. I was on a movie set with him one time, and it was a dance club scene, and he had this heavy silver big fat pistol looking thing.
Was it a real pistol?
Well, so he grabs it and he puts it, and I was like, oh my God, is that a gun? He's like, yeah, but don't worry about it. He put it to my heart and he pulled the trigger and it went click. And he's like, ha, it's fake. And I just stood there and I was frozen. And I remember feeling hot, like, oh my God. And now he's apologized since then, but that's how people act. When my brother went to purchase a gun, I remember walking into the gun store with him. I didn't want to go, but I did. I walked in. As I walked in the door, I looked straight ahead to the back of the store, and there's a rifle being pointed at me because the guy is looking at the rifle, testing it out, and he's pointing it at the front door, and it's pointed at my head. I'm like, these people are stupid. And if that happened in the first 10 seconds of me going to a gun store, there's a problem.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. But then again, you're getting now into the logistics part of it.
Right.
I don't see the federal government coming down and mandating something like that. They're really honestly leaving it to the states to regulate how they handle firearms within their borders. That's really what it's more about. And like I said, in Texas, there's no wait. There's a no wait time. In other states, you have to wait up to 10 days before you can take possession of it. You go in, you fill out all your paperwork, they do your background check, but they hold that for an additional 10 days. After that point, then you come pick it up.
So doesn't it make sense, though, and wouldn't America agree that, yeah, you can own and you have this right, but get proper training and it's required?
Well, what I found out, too, that it's a fact that, places where they have stricter laws about it, it have higher crime rates. So I don't.
Stricter laws about what?
Owning the gun control laws.
Mm-hmm.
They have higher crime rates.
What's the gun control law? Like I'm not like, how do you mean?
In Chicago has one of the highest and most stringent gun control laws in the nation. Mm-hmm. And they have the higher murder rate per capita using guns.
Well, that makes sense because there's one state that has these strict laws, but all the states around it don't. So now they're like this helpless victim around all these people with guns. It has to be something that sweeps all over the nation.
Well,
is what I think.
And
you were about to say something?
Well, do you think that removing guns would be a better solution?
No, I think having a filter of training is going to help because people who want it now, they don't want to go through the training.
So
well, I mean that's in those states. That's the entire purpose of the waiting period.
Yeah,
is to prevent people who are going in and making an emotional decision and an emotional purchase.
Yeah.
I'm mad. I want something right now because I'm going to go get revenge. That's the whole point of the waiting period.
Well, I know, like for me, when I see a gun, I don't know how to handle it. I don't even want to touch it because I'm afraid it's going to go off. I'm just afraid it's going to explode in my hands. The little that I know about guns, it was from my dad sitting me down and saying, okay, now this is how this is. You open it up this way. You always make sure, just in case you come across one, and this is when I was like 10 years old, make sure that these are empty. Make sure, where's that person to everybody? do you just have to figure it out yourself? Because that's what you're
Yeah.
saying, and everyone's
Yeah.
okay with that. Hey, purchase a gun and just figure it out. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, and that everyone's okay with that.
But it's been that way forever.
And look where we are, all these shootings. I'm all for having those guns. It's just I would think just common sense is you purchase one and you get a training.
you
You're
So
understand-
just because you get training on it doesn't mean it's gonna change anything.
No. Oh,
because
no,
my
well,
thing,
there's-
because my thing is, if you get trained how to drive a car, it's still accidents every day.
correct.
So
Absolutely,
it's like,
but it's well. There's a list of things that need to change that we're going to get to. I'm just saying this is just one of the huge problems. Is anyone can purchase this gun that can kill
yeah.
and can kill you, and no one's there to show you how to use it. There is something unbelievably wrong about that, is what I think.
But do you understand at one period of time there was actually shooting classes in school? We taught elementary school, middle school, high school students. There were rifle teams, and now we don't have those anymore. We don't teach that to the children. We don't teach the dangerous nature of these things anymore. They're just told they're bad and stay away from them.
Don't get
You
one.
know.
Yeah.
Really, that's really
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
There was one period of time where you actually had rifle courses in school. They'd take little 22 rifles and 8th, 9th grade students or somewhere around
Go
that,
out and shoot.
and they would teach them how to shoot. And it would all encompass an entire safety program with that as
Gotcha.
well.
Well, I want to find out why that stopped. We have to take another break, and then we'll discuss that. And then I'm going to start going down my list of things that need to happen to make this get better, as Kel laughs at me. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Don't Panic. A couple of our viewers have been commenting on our Facebook page. Israel, the Vegas shooter would have had CHL training here in Texas, unfortunately.
Not to own one. That's
Not to
if
own
you wanted to. CHL stands for Concealed Handgun License.
Yeah.
In Texas, it's now called a license to carry because that gives you the right to conceal carry or open carry in the state of Texas. That's if he had a CHL. You don't have to have you don't have to buy or apply for a CHL or TLC in Texas to own one. Mm-hmm. It's only simply to carry it on your person in applicable areas.
Yeah, in places you can take
So
it.
now we have another comment, and it's actually from my mother, Josie. She says gun owners need insurance, like drivers need insurance when they're
And
driving.
that goes back to the difference between a right and a privilege.
Yeah. It's
So
a right.
because it's a right, that's when they're saying that's the argument, which is, well, it's a right, so we don't have to have any
that's
type
my
of training
right.
or anything. I have the right to have it.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Well,
I mean, it's like
something.
I can't believe that's an argument.
It's something that's in
It's
the
something that
Constitution.
it can't be revoked.
Yeah, and I'm not saying don't have it.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is know what you're doing.
But it's still your right just to have one, even if you don't.
Right, and so that's the argument there. That is the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Oh my God. Wow.
No, not when you start talking about the other rights that are guaranteed in the Constitution.
In the Constitution.
Well,
You know,
because-
there has to be a definition between what is a privilege and what you are inalienably have the right to do.
Correct. But what I'm wondering is, let's just take the Constitution out of it for a minute. Do you think that it's a good idea to have something that can kill you, like just flat out made to kill? Because you could say anything about, oh, that could kill too. A gun, and if you're going to purchase one, have proper training before you can go take it home and use it.
take it right away.
When you go to the hardware store, do you have to get hammer training?
Well, no, but
You have to
those
learn to
are
use a screwdriver?
but those are made for other things. Those are made to hammer nails, to build. Guns are made to kill.
But people use those things to kill too.
I know that is
Yeah.
true, but what I'm saying is, don't you think that they should? Okay, so let's go by that. Then shouldn't they know how to use this hammer?
You would
You
think
would
so.
think
Yeah,
so.
they should.
But I
Right.
mean, are you going? I mean, that's.
But
the
is
li-
then
the li-
everybody
the-
going to go to the store and you got to get a hammer training? That means you're going to take people rights away.
Anytime
You're
I
taking
hear
more
you
and
say hammer, I think dun, dun, dun,
Oh,
No. But what I'm saying is like now you're going into people's rights to have things. Now you're going to say, oh, whenever you go do something, you have to go get this, you have to get that. It's like now, where is that going to be an end to that?
No, implementing training changes it from a right to a privilege.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know you're talking where you think that we're talking semantics, but it's not. It's in, especially getting into the legalese of it.
Well, so then let me ask you this way. So because it's a right, do you feel that we shouldn't have training for it?
I think that we should have training for it. I just think that I think they should have the choice whether or not they should be educated.
Yeah.
Simply because
Well, I mean, that's what you have now.
You have
there
it
are a
now.
lot of places where you can
Then
get
you still
training.
get training.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
and especially
But
for
it's still
children,
their choice to go get. get
especially
training.
for children. I know this is in this particular subject, the three letters of the NRA is a nasty name
Yeah.
for some. But NRA, I know one of the things that they do offer is a free children's safety course. You can simply write them, and they will send you a little DVD, and it's an entire course for children on firearm safety and what they should do and shouldn't do with that. You can get that for free, but if you're an adult,
Yeah.
of course, you have to go and pay for it.
Well, let me tell you, I
course.
am shocked, but I am also like being so educated on this. I never knew. I mean, I'm learning so much on this show. It's completely shocking. Yeah, I mean, I'm not shocked either that we had this shooting because this is ridiculous.
Well, let me go ahead and shock you a little bit more. And again, I'm going to speak on the state of Texas.
Yes.
Sales between private citizens. If I wanted to sell you a gun that I own, there is absolutely no paperwork required.
That's what I was about to
Okay.
talk about. Yeah. So when you purchase something, what is their paperwork? Is it registered to your name?
There's not a registry in Texas. Okay. The only link back is to the FBI because the serial number is put on your 4473 form.
See, because this is what I would think is I purchase a gun, and then Jake comes over here because he's just gotten in a fight from somebody who's trying to compete him in a rap gig, and he wants to shoot him, right? And he's pissed off, right? And he's had a few to drink. He comes to me and he says,
"We know a little bit about
my
that."
business out there.
Yeah.
and then he says, "Hey, Israel, I hear that you're wanting to sell this gun. Can I buy it? If it's registered to me, and then I sell it to him and he goes and kills someone, and then they find out who that's registered to, I should be responsible. Just like when I lease out the event room here at the studio. Yeah, there's going to be, let's just say 100 people there, but if there's damage, there's one person that's responsible who's the person that signed the contract. Is it not like that with guns?
It is.
Okay.
They will trace it. Again,
They're gonna find it.
The serial number is linked to you through your application.
So if he went and killed someone, and I'm sorry, I keep using
They
you as
would.
an
The
example.
FBI would be coming to you first if they found that firearm and they ran the serial number. They would be coming to you first.
Okay, so then that's good.
Yeah, I mean,
That makes me
no,
feel
not
good.
necessarily you're going to be responsible for it. They're going to ask you
Who you sold
You
the
were the
gun
last
to.
one we know who owned it.
And
what
I said-
happened? Well, I sold it
I
to
sold
him.
it to him.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
Okay.
They go find that guy.
And that's it?
Yeah.
No. See, that's another
Well, see,
issue.
I
That's
mean-
another problem. I should be responsible because
Why should
then-
you be responsible for somebody else?
because it's a gun. If
And
I
those-
don't want to
I
sell
don't know
it to
what
you-
you're
And-
going to
and
do
those-
with that gun.
And,
I'm gonna
and those of us who are responsible with our firearms, when I want to make a private sale to a private citizen, I actually create a bill of sale, and I will capture their driver's license number, and I'll have them sign that form. So when the FBI or the police come to me and say, "Hey, your gun was used in a murder," no, I sold it to him on this date. Okay, and they'll take that. And
Oh
go.
my God, this is terrible, people. No wonder this is terrible. Because if I'm going to be responsible because I sold you a gun and you went and killed somebody, and I know I'm going to be responsible, I'm not going to sell it to you. I'm going to.
But
say,
how
"Nope,
do you know I'm going to
sell
go
it."
kill someone?
I don't, but I'm going to be. But I'm going to be careful.
But why would you be held responsible for someone you didn't even know at that point was going to do anything crazy?
And you didn't break any laws.
And you broke no law.
Because I sold it to you.
So?
I sold a weapon that can kill people.
Really?
You're talking.
Yes.
You're talking morality
Yeah,
versus legality.
Yeah,
the
but
moral consequences over the legal consequences.
Right, but
And
right now there's absolutely no responsibility or consequence for people just selling guns to anybody on the street.
But again, if you go
right?
statistically, the guns that are used are not sold; they're stolen.
They're stolen.
Okay, well that's
So now I break into your house, I take your gun, I go out commit the crime. Are you now responsible?
right. That's a good point. That's a good point. See, I would be willing to research that and go, okay, well there's a good point. But I think that's always going to happen. But if there is a law saying,
Well-
yeah, you register it, and if you sell it, and then somebody buys, yes,
Yeah.
I understand. And there's going to be a small percentage of people that got stolen. But the moment it gets stolen, I could go and report it stolen and say
That's
somebody
exactly what you have to do.
You have to do that.
Once you
okay,
make
that's
that,
good.
because the police report then shields you from responsibility.
One of our viewers says, trust set up to transfer if sold or upon death, kind of like NFA ruled weapons. Does that make any sense?
You don't need a trust for anything less than a class 3 weapon. I understand what they're saying, a trust and stuff like that. It's not necessary in the state of Texas with most of the firearms you can buy. A trust is usually necessary when you buy things that are highly restricted, such as a machine gun. You can buy a machine gun, but you better have some money and you're gonna wait.
Yeah.
But you can buy one. They're
Yeah.
perfectly legal to buy if you can pass all of the background checks through the ATF, and they come out and they're going to check. I mean, they're going to
Get in your business.
yes, and in a way that's going to be highly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But there is, and you have to. And again, it costs a lot of money. Not simply the purchase of the weapon. The weapons are expensive, but there's a tax on every single one that you buy, and they're talking about what they call silencers or suppressors now. Just to buy one of those is $300 tax stamp to the government. And then you have to apply for it. And then the ATF comes out and questions you, why do you want to buy it? And then and in 6 months, maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't. I mean, it's not, when they're talking about these types of weapons, they're not that easy to get.
Yeah.
Now,
Unless, of course, someone goes in and takes something that someone already went through all the legal trouble to purchase. They steal it. Well,
Now, do you feel that there should be a limit to how many weapons somebody or guns somebody should own?
No.
Why not?
It's their choice.
It's not a limit on how many cars I can own.
Correct.
If I can buy all the jewelry I want,
but we're talking about
it's your
guns.
it's your
people,
money.
which is different than cars.
But it's
No.
your money.
But have they not used cars to also commit these mass murders?
Correct. But there aren't cars that are doing mass, over 50 people being killed. Cars, I mean,
But
they're different. And
Have you
cars,
seen the death toll numbers of car accidents every day?
yes,
And
correct.
they absolutely dwarf anything that's happened with
guns.
in a mass shooting situation.
Correct. But what I'm saying is there needs to be something that changes. And this is the reason it's not changing, because everyone's just kind of okay with the way things are. And you're not
Well, I
going to
can't-
like the changes, but change is
Right.
good.
I can't tell someone how many guns they can
3.
own.
Everyone should have no more than 3. And I want to know why.
Why?
If I was president,
Like, why? How you going to
Okay.
tell someone
'Cause
they
I-
can just own 3 guns?
because I would say,
Okay,
why do you want more than 3?
Can we increase that number?
2.
I mean, more than 3. 'Cause someone might have more than 3.
Well, this is what I would say is, why do you want more than 3? What are you doing with them?
Some people hunt.
No, you.
Me personally,
Yeah, I would say,
I
why
don't.
do you want more
I
than
don't
3?
need more than 3.
Okay, well, then I'd go to the next
But
person.
I don't.
I'd say,
But I
all
don't
right.
know if he may need more than.
But
3.
I would say to you, Mr. American citizen, I would say, so you don't need more than 3? All right, so then we're going to mark you down with your social security number. You can only have up to 3. All right, next person. Richard, how many do you want to own?
As many as I possibly can.
How about 3?
No,
Why not?
because 3, when you label guns, again, you're going into a subject that is simply, there are so many different types. You saying, what do I use them for? A shotgun is used different than a rifle,
Yeah.
a bolt-action rifle. A pistol is different than I'm going to use for a shotgun or a bolt-action rifle. And the controversial weapon right now, the AR-15, there is a purpose for them in hunting, especially here in Texas. We have a wild hog problem here in Texas. Going out there with this bolt-action rifle, I'm not going to be effective in that type of hunting.
Yeah.
So that's what I would need.
So then what if one of those were one of your 3?
Well, I know I need all of them.
You need all of them.
So how about we limit them to 3?
No.
Do you
No,
have to
because
go and
now-
kill these?
Because we're now I say I have a shotgun. I use that for home defense. That's my home defense weapon.
Ooh,
Okay.
shotgun. Dang. Yeah.
I'm going to use a bolt-action rifle. I'm going to go deer hunting with it. That's what that is. I want to have a pistol. Maybe I can carry that in my car when I'm out and about, my self-defense.
Okay.
Now, that's my 3.
Yeah.
What if I want something else?
I would say, well, can we
if I
have
want
somebody
another-
else have it registered under their name? You would get those 3. Would that be okay?
But then
No,
you just
because
said.
then
But
now
then
I'm
you just
having-
said someone else having the buying the gun. Now they've held responsible if you go do something stupid.
No, you're taking away their 3.
Now you're taking away their 3.
No, every citizen would have 3. Guys, we have to cut to
Okay.
break. And then we're going to come back, guys. We're going to continue this conversation. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this special episode of Don't Panic, where we're talking about guns in America. If you are just now joining us, I'm going to have my guests reintroduce themselves.
My name is Jake O'Neill, and I am for gun ownership.
I'm Kel Davis, and I am for gun ownership.
And I'm Richard here, and I'm for the Second Amendment.
Nice. Now, before we cut to break, we were all in agreement on everything so far. And so I thought
I don't know about that one.
So let's talk about, on my list here of how to save the world and how to solve this gun issue. One of them was stricter punishments for carrying without a license and, of course, shootings. One of the biggest things is consequences for policemen. They have I think they're all now starting to slowly be required to have a little body camera that's supposed to be on at all times.
Doesn't matter.
And and this is the thing, is there are no consequences. If a cop kills someone, oh, guess what? All the news is like, well, you know what? That person was let off. They are on suspended leave. What? Suspended leave? So they're not
paid.
Yeah, paid suspended leave. They need to be arrested. They need to be thrown in jail. So there needs to be stricter punishments for anyone that does any type of shooting, police included. Richard, you're about to say something?
Well, no, I mean, you can't lump the police into the general public because there is a certain anonymity that does protect police, and they do need it at certain points. But you can't argue the fact he didn't have anything. Why is that man now dead with 27 rounds shot into him?
Well, because there was a female, this was about a month ago, there was a female who had called 911, and when she went over to this is the story, when she went over to the police car, she got shot. And both cops conveniently had their body cam turned off, and they weren't supposed to. So they say, oh, we're investigating why it was turned off. And then you just never hear from it again. And it's like, no, there needs to be stricter things. If it was off, then punish them for that.
No, that sounds to me that there needs to be a third-party, non-biased investigation and not let the police department's internal affairs handle that. There needs to be a third-party, unbiased investigation into it so that you can't have, the buddy system covering for each other.
Right.
The internal affairs are supposed to do that, but, it doesn't. We all know it doesn't necessarily happen.
Kelly, you're about to say something.
No, just it's not going to change anything at the end of the day.
Well, not with that attitude, young man.
Yeah, it's not. It happens so often. It's like people feel like cops are held to a higher standard. I get this, that they protect the city and all this stuff, but at the same time, they're human beings and they have human emotions. So they can be emotional and they can fear someone just the same as anyone else on the street. So they should be tried and convicted just like anyone else, but they're not. When they go in front of a judge, they look at them as like something different. So they're being judged differently, and that's just the human nature. We're just going to do those type of things, so it happens. And I don't actually see that changing, especially when it's just like if I work with somebody close, you don't want to convict your friend. You don't want to put your friend behind bars. Yeah, you may take their job from them or something like that, but other than that, it's like what's really going to change?
Well, that's when the body cams can come in, because then you can see what really happened instead of what they're saying.
Body cams don't mean anything. You can see from the cop car. They have cameras in the cars. They have cameras everywhere. It doesn't matter. People take it on cell phones. They show it right there that the man got killed, and they still get off. So who cares? It doesn't care. At that point, it doesn't matter.
Well, is that where that would come in? That would help, which is what you said. Instead of their own internal investigation, there's like a neutral party that comes in?
It would, but who's not to say that it's not going to, result in the same thing?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like one of those things like, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. But at the same time, it's like they have these cameras and they have these things in place to make it safer. But, it's still going on, so it hasn't changed anything. So what's the point of it? It really doesn't make any difference if you're not gonna hold them accountable. I feel like they should be held accountable, just like we are held accountable. If we make a mistake, we're going to jail for life. They make a mistake, oh, he's a cop, it's okay, and we forget about it. It shouldn't be that way.
Right. Yeah. Well, we can, if there's even if it's worth a try. I know it might not even make a
Well,
difference,
just like
but
this.
having those consequences and having it written as some type of law or policy or something, it's worth a shot.
Well, just like this, when just like if you'll get in trouble for running a light, you get a ticket. They'll cut their sirens on just to run the light, and then when they pass the light, they'll cut them right off and go where they're going. I've seen it plenty of times.
Yeah, I have to.
So that's what I'm saying. They have no restrictions.
Yeah.
They do what they want to do, and it's obvious that they do.
Yeah, I mean, no, they have restrictions, but there's no consequence.
But there's no consequence.
Yeah,
no consequence.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
They know they shouldn't be doing that, but no one's telling them stop, so
There has to
they're
be a
going to do it until they're told not to do it.
Yeah,
anymore.
absolutely.
Exactly.
Because they can pull you over and write you a ticket, and you know that you didn't do anything wrong, but it's up to you to take time out of your day to go to the court to prove it, and then they're like, oh, yeah, you didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, that's wiped clean. But where's that other cop?
Exactly.
All he had to do was write it and
Well,
have
well,
you spend all those
exactly.
hours.
That's just like an incident that happened to me when I was in college, and I was here for a summer. And the guy was upset that it was a fight going on out there, so they was trying to get the crowd to move, and we were leaving. Just because we was over there laughing, wasn't even thinking about the situation, they took me and my cousin to jail. Now, mind you, I had no alcohol in my system, but I still went to jail that night for public intoxication.
What?
And I had to sit in jail for 6 hours until that morning with some real drunks that was in there. Very upset. Now, and now when I went to court, the cop never showed up. But the whole time, but even when I asked someone about that, how can they do that? And it was like, it's no law against them saying, it's their word against yours, saying that you was drunk.
It's you're guilty till proven innocent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is not what our system is.
And
about.
that I feel needs to change. There needs to be consequences for everyone and policemen as well. And until that, doesn't happen, then nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
But so something just needs to be put in place, even if they don't do it. But it will scare a small percentage of cops to not do it.
I doubt it.
We can try. I'll be the optimistic one saying you just never know. Might as well try it just because.
I mean, you could try it. I mean,
Yeah.
they've tried everything else, but I don't think it's really going to change anything.
And the next thing that I had on here, which of course we were talking about earlier, Richard, I said this is my note that I wrote. Limit the number of guns one can buy. One for home, one for your car, and one for hunting. That's it. And I put "that's it" in capital letters, so it means he's serious. That's it.
Oh, was it underlined too?
No,
Oh,
it was just in capital.
Yeah, he didn't mean it that much.
Right. And then I
He
put
was yelling it.
and then I also put, we limit iPhones. Why not guns? When the Cabbage Patch Kids were being sold, they're like, nope, you can only have one. When the first iPhone first came out, they said you can only buy two. So why can't they do the same thing?
That is a seller's restriction so that they can keep a stock. I can go and buy as many iPhones as I want.
I just couldn't buy more than two that day.
They wouldn't sell me more than
Right.
two. It's not that I couldn't possess them.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't sell me more based on their keeping their stock. So
Right, and I get that. What I'm saying is people can easily argue, and you know what? I'm sure it's coming, where the new iPhone's going to come out and they're going to say, okay, only one per person, and one's going to say, well, but I'm an American and I have the right to buy whatever I want to, and then they're going to try to sue Apple and then blah, 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 and it's like, no, why can't we do that with guns? We were talking about it earlier where you said you would want more than three. Would it, no pun intended here, kill you to just have 3 guns?
Oh, of course not. It wouldn't. But what else am I limited to have in America? What else can I not have more than 3 of?
In America, I can't think of anything.
Then what? I mean, I understand you're saying this is something that is.
And if I were president, I would say, and the reason is because we are stupid and we don't know how to handle our guns in this country.
Okay,
That's why.
Why don't we change the education system instead of limiting the number of guns?
Absolutely. That's when the training would come in. And then people are
Yeah,
like,
I'm
but
not-
we don't need to train. It's like, well, then what do y'all want to do, people? Y'all need to change something. You need suck it up.
No, I mean,
you need to do something.
I'm not against the training. It's just it gets into the logistic part of it. Who's going to pay for it? Or people are going to be upset. Oh, now I have to pay more money for something.
Oh,
I shouldn't
well,
have.
when it
and
comes for
everything like
people
that.
getting upset, who cares?
Yeah.
Let them get upset. They're going to get over it. Because the one thing that I realized was Netflix taught me a lot.
Okay.
Netflix a couple of years ago when they started doing their original programming where they were going to release a full season on the same day, 12 episodes, boom, of something. Everyone's like, what? Something that's supposed to last 4 to 5 months of watching TV, they're going to change everything. This is terrible. This is horrible. People were upset. They're like, what? So everyone can binge watch a show in one day? What about the rest of the months? Blah, blah, blah. People yelled and screamed and bitched. Netflix was like, bitch, shut up. We're going to put it on there. And now, guess what? Everyone got used to it. So that's what I think we need to do. If people are going to scream and yell and complain, let them, because they're going to get over it, I feel. And we're also still trying to keep that right where you do have the right to have guns, just not a whole lot of them. And it's not because of people like you, Richard, that are responsible with your guns. It's not for like my father, that when I was being raised, we had a couple of guns on our bedroom wall that they were rifles on a little gun rack. We knew as kids we weren't supposed to touch them. We weren't supposed to go and unzip the case. Those are the responsible people. The only reason we would have this is because there are a lot of stupid people. And so how do you...
But are you really going to be doing some restriction? That means you have to go into everyone's home and find out how many they have.
No, because the next on my list here is buy back guns from people, just like Australia did.
No.
Now,
Yeah, ask Australia how happy
How
they
that
are.
worked out.
now
They're not happy with it all. They want their guns back.
this is what I would say is you don't have to, Richard, Kel, Jake, you don't have to, but we are going to buy it back, and whatever you paid for it, we're going to pay. If you have the receipt or proof of how much it is, we'll buy it back by either half or 3/4, and we'll pay you for it.
Where's that money going to come from?
We would figure that out because I've thought of that, and how NRA would be wonderful, but
They're not going to give up their paychecks.
somehow. I honestly think, just like Jeff Goldblum said in Jurassic Park, life will find a way.
But I'm saying, how would you know that I have more guns than 3
We don't.
in my home?
We're trusting you.
So, what? I mean, you can
Oh,
trust me.
now
on
we
that.
shouldn't trust you, but we should trust you with all the other
Well,
times.
but what I'm saying is, you're gonna say trusting them, so you can't trust me to have more guns? Like that doesn't make sense. If you're gonna trust me to tell you the truth, but then but you don't trust me to own the gun.
No. All we're saying is we're going to have a place where you can bring your guns and we're going to buy them from you.
But you're gonna
That's
trust
it.
me to do that.
Only if you want to. You don't have to.
I can still own more than 3 guns.
Yeah, these are all ideas that I have, like if it were to happen today.
So I can
This
still
is
own
one of
more than
many.
3 guns, but you're gonna trust me to bring one. If I have 4, I'm gonna bring that one
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
no.
Because
No.
this is what's going to happen. People might be short on cash. They might need a little bit of money, and they're like, you know what? I
They
can
will
make
sell
a
it
quick
anyway.
$200. I'm just gonna sell my gun in there just to.
But why would I take half when I can get full price and more for that same gun if I sell it to a friend?
Because if you have it registered, because that's going to be the new law under President Luna, you're going to get in trouble if somebody goes and does something ridiculous with your gun. So might as well just sell it back to us, and you're good to go. And you make money.
But I can sell it to a responsible person.
Yeah, and also something
Which is, how do you know they're going to be responsible?
Or I'm going to purchase them in a way that you don't know.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you're putting restrictions on me that I don't agree with. So now,
Now I'm gonna do it illegally.
But that's happening already.
But but that's what I'm saying. So if it's
So
already
it's-
happening, why wouldn't you just let them buy them legally that you can keep up with them, versus buying them illegally and then I can just have as many I want and you can't do anything about it?
Yeah. there are a ton of weapons that are being manufactured inside the United States also without serial numbers. Like people know how to make guns.
Exactly.
So people can just like set up shop in a house and just whip up as many guns as they want. And also, I don't understand how limiting, I guess,
The amount.
the amount of guns that I'm able to own, how that's gonna stop people from dying and how that's gonna stop murders. Because I don't really think that it's necessarily a gun issue. I think it's more of a heart issue. I think it's more of it's more of a moral issue.
I think it's more of an individual person. Like what do you believe in? What's your morals to do certain things. I don't think it has anything to do with the gun. The gun don't kill people.
The gun's
people
a tool.
kill people.
The gun itself cannot make decisions.
So, guys, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what types of guns right now you can own and which ones you should not be able to own. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Don't Panic. So when we were on break, I was asking Richard about the origin of the Second Amendment because my question was, wasn't the right to bear arms created because everyone was fighting for territory and that was the way to protect yourself from other people taking your...
The creation for the Second Amendment was to keep a tyrannical government from reestablishing itself. Give the citizens the ability to take away the government if necessary. Whoa. That's what it originally created for.
Okay.
Because if you read it, it says a militia. I'll bring it back up. But that's what the Second Amendment was for: is to keep people armed, so you didn't have King George or King James or whoever coming over and reestablishing a tyrannical type government.
Because we had just come over here and sort of escaped.
We had just fought a revolution to get away from that.
Got it.
And they did not want a strong government and to be able to rule over them. They didn't want the president to become king again.
And then also you had mentioned also hunting, because back then, I mean, you were hunting for your food.
Yeah, but the Second Amendment came from that. It was not necessarily for you to go out and sustain yourself out in the wilderness or going out and claiming your territory or whatever, or defending yourself. That was a byproduct of it, but it's not what the Second Amendment was created for.
Got it. And so now let's talk about, staying with the Second Amendment. What what is the most extreme thing? I don't know very much about guns, so feel free to chime in here. But what is the most extreme type of weapon that we can own legally in the United States?
Again, if you want, like I was saying when we were off, but if you want to go through the process, fill out all the paperwork, pay your taxes to the government, give Uncle Sam his cut, you can own a machine gun. There is no law that says you can't. It just says that you have to have all of these little tax stamps and certifications to say that you own it.
Now, let's just go with that then. Would it be safe to say that everyone is in agreement that that should be not legal?
The process to get that type of weaponry is so restrictive that we can't.
The average person
afford
can't
it.
get it anyway.
Correct. But it's still legal. So would it be safe to just to get the ball rolling, just to start something saying anything that's like semi-automatic, automatic weapons, machine guns, no person outside of the military needs one. Is that safe to say? Would that be okay?
I wouldn't.
Well, it depends on what you consider your need to be.
Yeah, your need.
If you're one that considers
President Luna would say, I don't really think anyone needs one. I want to propose this so we can like make it a law. We'll make it a bill and see if it passes. Would the citizens be okay with that?
Shooting is considered to be a sport as well.
Yeah,
It's even in the Olympics.
Yeah, it's in the
so to
Olympics.
go out and to have this type of entertainment, if you will, it should be legal. Now, like I said, it's so restrictive to get these weapons, and they are expensive to shoot. The ammunition is not,
something you go pick
40,
up.
40 cents a round. You're talking, I think the last was like $5-6 a round. So if I have a belt, that's a lot of money. You're not just going to go out and
Just start shooting it.
Yeah.
So if this was presented as a bill saying, well, you know what, people will just have to do without that entertainment.
No, I'm going to have to say no to that.
No.
Because
if you already have in place the restrictions necessary to keep those type of weapons out of the average Joe citizen, you're not going to be able. You cannot walk into a gun store anywhere in this country and walk out with a machine gun unless you already have all of this paperwork filled out. And the ATF and the FBI and the CIA are going, yep, we've checked this guy out. Or this girl out, or
but according to what you guys are saying, someone can purchase that and then just sell it to any Joe Schmo, and then that person's going to go shoot up people.
No, not those. You have all of those restrictions. Okay, I cannot. If I go through all of that paperwork, if I want to sell that to someone else, they have to go through the exact same process.
paperwork.
Okay,
And
so
then-
does
and
that
then
go
the
for every
ATF
weapon?
No, just we're talking about machine guns.
Well, see, that should go for everything then. Why is it okay to do that one, but not one that still kills people and it still has 8 rounds in it? What's the difference?
Well, because you're talking the difference between automatic and semi-automatic.
But
And you're
there's
talking
still
about something that can go against them. You can take that and start shooting cops with that. Do you want that?
Well, that too, and inherently those types of the type of round, the size of the round, is will defeat most of the body armor that police are going to wear.
wearing. Yeah.
So they're not. That's why they're so heavily restricted.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to just walk around with that.
Right. So I guess what I'm trying to understand is the mentality of, well, they're really hard to get anyway, but they shouldn't be illegal. Just make them really hard. Why not just make them illegal just to get the ball rolling, to get people used to it? It's like give them a little morsel.
But
give
making them illegal,
so then
it still doesn't stop anybody from. Well, I think, but even with that, I can't get one anyway. So making them illegal still doesn't.
But other people can.
Okay,
The
so
people
you
with the
make
money
those,
can.
Oh, say we all come to agreement and
Yeah.
we say, okay, let's make those illegal. 5 years from now, we don't like that type of rifle anymore. Let's make that.
Let's make that one
Exactly.
illegal.
Yes.
And so it starts
Yes.
snowballing down to where
Absolutely.
But now you're
Whether- Yes,
But
now
now
we're talking.
But now you're turning around and still trying to take a right from me.
But what's going to happen in those 5 years is let's see what's happening now. Let's see what's going on with these killings. Let's see if it's plateauing or let's see if it's still rising.
you're trying to legislate to an absolutely, as terrible as these things are, they are such a minute percentage of shootings in this country. You're trying to legislate to, a tiny fraction.
What
And you're
really
taking the
goes
right away from everybody else.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely, 100%. No disguising. Yes, because we can't handle our crap because we are stupid.
But if
because
you
there's
take,
other
but
people
so
that are
So
stupid.
then we take away the Second Amendment, no more guns.
Well, no,
I
not
don't-
that.
No,
Not that.
Well,
I'm
what
not saying that.
But what I'm saying is, if you do that,
You're saying
you
your
putting us
end
at a
goal,
di-
your end goal was that eventually we'll start going down the list until I can have a
Everything.
cap gun. I can have a cap gun.
Until you
Pop.
can have 3 of whatever you want. Just 3. I'm just saying a compromise because y'all are saying, well, no, nothing's going to change. But things need to change, but we don't want to change anything. Sorry. We got to change things. We got to change things.
what I'm saying is, you're starting to tell someone
But that's
right,
not
you
going.
take-
I
that's-
do not believe that's going to produce the results you want to see.
Exactly, because now
But we don't know if we don't try.
But what I'm saying
we need
is,
to try
if I can still
something.
get them illegally, what's
You're
stopping
gonna-
them?
You're gonna
Because-
open up. You're gonna open a black market.
Because with the
that's-
stricter punishments, the moment you get caught, you're going to have
So?
strict punishments.
Okay, I was saving this one. Okay.
Okay.
You tell me how to stop drugs coming into this country that'll be 100% effective, or at least reduce it by 90%, and I'll listen to you on gun control laws. They have been fighting drugs, which are 100% illegal. They carry stiff penalties if you
Yeah.
have them. There are thousands of people that are incarcerated for them.
And they still do
And they're
it.
still here. You can't stop them. This is what you will
and
create.
people can make them in the chemistry lab.
Right?
And this is what you will create. This is what you will create with those types of laws.
Yeah.
So how have those laws been effective in affecting that problem? Because to me, that's a much worse problem. Yeah, you had a crazy individual go and he killed 50, 60 people, right? That's terrible. Well, let's look at the statistics of children that are being killed by drugs every day. And how has all of these laws that we have been effective?
Absolutely. And if I had a week to prepare, then I could tell you, because I know nothing about drugs either. I know nothing about drugs either. I don't know how they come in. I would have to research who brings
But,
them in,
I mean-
how they're brought in, what the statistics are they in bags? Are they made into porcelain dolls and they make them into that? I watch a lot of
Oh,
movies. Can
yeah.
you tell?
You
I
watch too many movies.
I would research that. But all I'm saying right now is here I am. I have thrown out at least 5 different solutions, and y'all are
Right.
poo-pooing all of them. And what I'm
Because-
saying
It's not
is
with poo-poo on them.
Because-
is a lot of
Because I'm
them.
using a similar problem as my litmus test. You put in all of these laws, you've made all of these things illegal, and there hasn't been a change. So now how am I going to implement the same things or similar things on this problem? How can I predict that they're going to be effective at all?
I can only focus on
Yeah.
like one at a time, so I can't actually like talk about the drugs thing because I'm not.
I'm just saying.
But
I'm
he's
not
just
absorbing
using-
that
but-
right
but-
now.
but-
What I'm
but-
saying
but
is,
all
there's
he's-
similar. There's
they're
similar
similar
problems,
problems.
and you're
There's-
proposing similar solutions, but over here it's not.
It's
working.
still
yeah,
not working.
they are similar, but they are very different because we're talking about registration, we're talking about training and everything, and this is something that people take that people are just selling that can kill you
Well,
as
the
well. So
government
it is.
sell drugs.
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm saying is,
But every single drug is illegal. I can't possess them.
well,
They're
no,
illegal.
but that's not true because different drugs in certain things, just like we were
Illegal
talking
drugs.
about, what was
illegal
it?
drugs. I cannot possess marijuana in this state.
Like Sudafeds. You said that there's a certain thing and
There's a chemical in them, the epinephrine.
right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is there's a way to make them kind of legal. But guys, we have to take a break.
Okay.
We're going to come back and we're going to close out the show, guys. But this has been really, really amazing stuff this is really awesome. We'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Don't Panic. I know that a lot of you have been commenting, and I am so sorry that we have not been able to read all of your comments, but we really do appreciate you watching. Before we close out the show, I'm going to have each of my guests talk about what they want to see, what they hope will change to keep another horrible massacre from happening. Jake.
Well, I would like to see people honestly, I would like to see people make the choice to educate themselves rather than stay ignorant on certain situations. And I would also like people to take things a little more seriously and take other lives into account whenever they make decisions. And I mean, I don't really necessarily think that there is a way that we can stop something like that from happening. I think that you can put restrictions on things all day, but it's, in my opinion, it's a heart issue. It's not a gun issue.
Kel?
Well, I think the one thing is just care about people more, just others, and be considerate of others and what we have going on in our lives. Everyone has tough times and ups and downs. That doesn't mean go out and shoot someone just because you're having a bad day or someone treated you wrong or something like that. So I think be more mindful of others and just, care about people more. And just we're so caught up in loving ourselves nowadays. We only love ourselves now. Everything is about selfies and what I'm doing, how much money I have. It's all about self-indulgence. If we can care about people, and I think that'll help those type of situations out, because then you'll think more about someone else's life besides your own.
Got it. Richard?
You're not going to stop human nature.
Yeah.
People are going to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And especially in a country where we have all these amazing freedoms, you can say, be nice to each other. You can do all of these things, but unfortunately you can't legislate human nature.
Yeah.
People are going to do what they want to do. You can have all the laws you want. What this guy did in Vegas was illegal on so many different levels, but it didn't stop him. Yeah. And again, with that individual, from what I've read, this man, he gambled away in 2 days what I make an entire year at my job. Yeah. So he had enough money to do whatever he wanted. So, unfortunately, right at this moment, I don't have a solution. I don't know what we can actually do to make it better.
Yeah.
Got it. And I just wanted to say that this is probably one of the most educational shows for me. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't know, other perspectives that I really respect. And my goal with this show, and maybe we'll do a part 2 as well, is that something needs to change. I don't know what it is. I threw out ideas, and I can definitely see the counters to those. I just know that something needs to happen, and I'm going to be there until it happens, because I'm going to say there are solutions. We just have to figure out what they are. And I hope that this show helped you find some type of perspective, and we hope that our perspectives helped you as well. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show, and have a great week, guys. See you later.
Bye.